This is Pakistan. Since its inception, the country has gone through many a boom and bust cycle and is no stranger to economic crisis. Pakistan has knocked on the IMF doors 23 times in the past 72 years. Its latest staff-level agreement for a $1 billion tranche remains in limbo since November 2022. It is part of a $6.5 billion bailout program agreed in 2019. Pakistan also relies on friendly countries and multilateral agencies to bridge its fiscal gaps. There seems to be a general consensus among economists and policymakers that the underlying cause of Pakistan's economic woes is its reliance on imports and poor performance of the export sector. So, how can we change that?
As an economist, I see an intricate relationship between Pakistan's subpar performance in the exports with the country's prevailing political economy structure in which wealth and resources are redistributed from bottom to top. Let me give you 3 examples to illustrate how bottom to top redistribution is negatively impacting economic development and export growth. First is the prevailing land or plots regime. As you know, the buying and selling of plots is relatively easy as compared to other economic transactions of that size in Pakistan. Further, it enjoys lots of tax holidays and loopholes, and therefore, for owners of capital or those who are trying to protect their savings from inflationary pressure, they end up investing in plots, and it has become a relatively effective strategy to accumulate wealth. And as a result, the resources are not being invested in sectors which have a more potential for exports growth. Further, to build this plots economy, there has been a tendency to invest in peripheries of the city, and in this process, farmland, forests, and green spaces are being rapidly converted into gated housing enclaves or societies. And this undermines agriculture growth, food security, and export potential for agriculture-related products. In fact, due to this rapid decline in agriculture, Pakistan ends up importing lots of food products, which contributes to trade deficit. And most importantly, in this process, the small and landless peasants and farmers have been displaced and dispossessed. Moreover, low-income segments of the society are priced out of the former land and housing markets due to these speculative bubbles, and they end up living in kachi abadis. So this is a classic example of redistribution of wealth from bottom to top. The second reason is that the few large private firms use their elite networks and proximity with the state officials to get subsidized inputs to monopolize their market share in the local economy, but they're unable to compete in the export markets. I'm not saying that subsidies are inherently bad. They can be used as a tool to achieve strategic socioeconomic goals, but in the case of Pakistan, there has not been an effective regulation on these large private firms despite getting subsidized inputs. So they are extracting cheap rents from the domestic market, while these firms have not reduced their prices or significantly improved the quality of their products. And therefore, consumers are paying high prices for these goods in Pakistan, and these firms are also unable to compete in the export markets. This is not just a waste of resources, but it is also an example of redistribution of wealth from bottom to top. Third reason for subpar performance in export sector is due to underinvestment in public goods and people. In particular, public transportation system is poor. Quality education and decent healthcare services remains out of reach for majority of Pakistanis, and they have been systemically left behind, in particular women. And this is not just socially and morally unfair, it has huge economic cost as economy is being deprived from their talents and skills, which undermines export potential and overall productivity gains in the economy. And therefore, you'll see majority of the working people end up in minimum wage jobs or even below minimum wage jobs in the informal sector of the economy. And if you notice, these workers are in fact subsidizing consumption of high income and affluent segments of the society. And this is another example of redistribution of wealth from bottom to top. So it is clear that the existing allocation of resources is inefficient, unproductive, and inequitable in Pakistan. Thus, in order to increase exports, Pakistan needs a major reallocation of resources from unproductive to productive sectors of the economy, and a need to put an end to redistribution from bottom to top.